Oh no, folks. It seems as if Chicago didn't really want to spend $12 to watch this preseason game in person. They didn't want to see the epic return of their number one star that got traded away coming back. I mean, these tickets were going for $7-8, $6.50 in some places.
Everything looked perfect on the surface. The lights were shining bright, the court had that fresh polish, the scoreboard was lit up, and the arena was set for a big night. Chicago Sky basketball was back, and more importantly, Angel Reese had returned. This is the same player who built her identity as Chi Barbie, the same one who spent the last 2 years making it clear loudly that she's a major force in women's basketball, someone who brings attention, eyes, and energy to the game. This was supposed to be her moment, the return, a statement, a reset. But when it came time for the crowd to show up and match that energy, they didn't.
Uh-oh, now look, it's our time. Listen, when Caitlin had her preseason game, y'all wanted to come put stuff in our face and clown us. Well, guess what? Now it's time for y'all to get the same treatment. So tell me why in Angel's first preseason game, and it went exactly how I told y'all it would, she shot 28% in the paint. 0% from the three-point line. Every three she threw up there, clank. And then from the free throws, she made 4 out of 8. She had 8 free throws. They was free. And she only made half.
If you even look at attendance numbers, the game itself already told a story, and it wasn't a good one. Angel Reese stepped onto the floor at Wintrust Arena for Chicago's first preseason matchup of 2026, going up against the Atlanta Dream, her new team. And almost immediately, things started going off track. She hit just 2 of her 7 shots from the field. At the free throw line, she went 4 for 8, missing half of what are supposed to be the easiest points in basketball. By the end of the night, she had just 8 points, and that came in only 13 minutes of action. That's not an exaggeration. That's not nitpicking. That's exactly what happened. For someone who has spent the last couple of years positioning herself as the centerpiece of a franchise, that kind of performance doesn't just fade into the background. It gets noticed. It gets talked about. And when it comes to Angel Reese, people are always watching.
She decides to let her ego get in the way. That's where she's going to be dangerous and destroy the team. And I'm being honest here because honestly, she's literally the same player from last year. She's the same player from the year before. She didn't really change that much, man. She's the same exact player, okay? As long as she can score 0 to 5 feet and don't miss layups, she will be fine. But I don't think it's the game on the court is the issue. The issue is, will she be willing to accept a role player position? If she accepts it, she will be fine. If she don't, there's going to be huge problems. This is going to be called Atlanta nightmare afterwards. I'm telling you, that's what it is. It's going to come down to that. Is she willing to accept her role? Because I said this before and I got hated for it, but I don't give a damn.
Now add context to it. During the offseason, Reese made a very public move to the Atlanta Dream. So this game wasn't just another preseason run, it was her debut with a new team, and it just happened to come against the franchise she left behind. That alone made things feel a little tense. She was back in the same building where she had been suspended, back in front of the same organization she had openly challenged, back in a city that had every reason to be curious about what she would do next. Chicago had a chance to respond. And they did before the game even tipped off. Because inside Wintrust Arena, around 3,000 seats sat empty. 3,000 empty spots in a building that was supposed to be alive for this exact moment.
Now, if I had to take a guess, behind the baskets, they said, you guys don't need to sit here. Let's actually file you in to the hundreds, to the 100 sections, and we'll move you towards center court. So on TV, it actually looks like there's more people in the building than it actually is. So I'm assuming that behind this backboard, you see that it's empty. The upper deck, you see that it's empty. But I would also assume that behind the basket that we're getting this camera angle from, it is empty, and the upper deck is empty. If I had to take a guess, 1,500 people in the building? Maybe 1,500?
It didn't take long for that to become a story. It never does. Within an hour of tip-off, images and clips showing wide sections of empty seats started spreading across social media, X, TikTok, Reddit, everywhere. And once that started, the reactions came pouring in. People pointed out the obvious: thousands of empty seats for her return, paired with a quiet performance on the court. Some fans were genuinely surprised by it. Others saw it coming from a mile away. But no matter where you stood, one thing was undeniable: the visual didn't lie. Empty seats don't care about hype. They don't care about branding or narratives. They just sit there and reflect reality. And on April 29th in Chicago, that reality was loud enough that you didn't even need to be inside the arena to feel it.
And I'm sure you came back to a sellout crowd that could not wait to see you, or not. Only 6,724 fans showed up to the Wintrust Arena. Yeah, it holds about 9,500 fans, so we're talking roughly 3,000 fans away from being sold out to see the return of Angel Reese.
What makes this even more interesting is that this wasn't new. This exact situation had already played out before. Go back to May 2025. Reese returned to LSU, her college home, the place where she won a national title and became a household name for a preseason exhibition game with the Sky. That should have been a guaranteed draw. But it wasn't. The upper level of the arena didn't even open because the lower level couldn't be filled. Tickets dropped as low as $11, some barely hitting $15, and even then, seats were still empty. Those images spread fast online, and people didn't forget them. So when 2026 rolled around and Chicago delivered a similar scene, it didn't feel random. It felt like a repeat.
Just being grateful for my opportunities that I did have here in my first 2 years. A lot of positives, and fans came out and showed a lot of support for both teams. So I'm really happy and grateful, and happy to be here playing now.
And just your first experience playing with all your team teammates and in an official campus, how did you feel you were feeling out there with your team?
Yeah, I didn't feel new. Everybody keeps asking how I feel, but she loves it.
At some point, you have to acknowledge the pattern. Reese's 2025 season didn't just go poorly, it unraveled in a very public way. The Sky finished 10-34, one of the worst records in the league, and missed the playoffs again. That alone was disappointing, but what happened off the court made things even more complicated. Reese openly questioned the roster in an interview, suggesting changes needed to happen and hinting that she might look elsewhere if they didn't. The organization didn't take that lightly. She was suspended, and her comments were labeled as harmful to the team. That's not something that just disappears. That kind of situation sticks with you, and in her case, it followed her straight into the offseason and right out of Chicago.
I believe her teammates Rachel Bannum or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading a playoff team. And according to the Tribune, Reese believes that the team needs to be overhauled this season around just two solidified pieces on the 2026 roster, herself and Camila Cardoso. She said, "I'm not settling for the same crap we did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. However I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. I'd like to be here for my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction." And
so when she returned in 2026, wearing an Atlanta Dream jersey, there was already a lot hanging over the moment. The exit, the suspension, the tension, the questions about how things really ended. But underneath all of that, one issue kept coming back to the surface, the same criticism that's been there since day one: her efficiency. More specifically, her struggles to consistently finish easy shots around the rim. Yes, the rebounding numbers look impressive, but critics have been pointing out for a while now that many of those rebounds come from her own missed attempts. And when you look at it that way, the stats start to tell a more complicated story.
You guys were serious about Angel Reese rebounds coming from her own layups? I ain't believe it till today. Like, I'm looking, I see she got 7 in the first quarter. I'm like, oh yeah, she balling. I go on ESPN, Angel Reese, offensive rebound. Angel Reese, miss. Angel Reese, offensive rebound. Angel Reese, miss. Angel Reese, offensive rebound. Angel Reese blocked. Rebound. Angel Reese blocked again. Rebound. Bruh, do you not have other teammates, gang? After the second miss, just pass the ball. What am I looking at right now? This all happened in the first quarter in the span of 2 minutes. Bro, I thought people was trolling when they said this, bro. Like, I know that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese beef on the internet is crazy, but nah. We gotta leave color out of this. What the hell is that? I'm surprised her teammates are not upset at her, bro. All these attempts, you could have easily passed the ball. You rebound, you see you can't put it up, pass it. I'm in disbelief.
One moment in particular made that conversation impossible to ignore. In May 2025, during a game against the New York Liberty, Reese had a stretch that quickly went viral, but not for the reasons you'd want. She missed 8 shots and still ended up with 12 rebounds. 5 of those rebounds came in just 19 seconds, all off her own missed attempts. 19 seconds, 5 offensive rebounds, same possession style, over and over. The clip spread everywhere. Analysts broke it down. Fans debated it. Commentators used it as the perfect example of the larger conversation around her game. Because both things can be true at once, the rebounds are real, and so are the misses that lead to them. And once you connect those dots, the stat line doesn't look quite the same anymore. That moment stuck, and after another performance like this 2-for-7 shooting with missed free throws, it came right back into focus.
Finished the game. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. She was on fire. She was cooking. She was cooking. At least that's what you would think. With this Yahoo Sports graphic, and of course fans, they weren't letting it slide by. Well, shot 2 for 7. You can find better hoops at an 8th grade AAU. Damn. Poster stats, dog. 2 for 7. Field goal, under the rim, 4 for 8 from the free throws. Ouch.
What makes this issue even harder to ignore is the type of shots we're talking about. She's not being criticized for forcing tough attempts or taking bad shots from deep. These are close-range opportunities. Layups, putbacks, free throws. The kind of shots that players with her size, strength, and athletic ability are expected to make consistently. At 6'3", finishing at the rim should be one of the strongest parts of her game. Instead, it's become the biggest question mark. Not the rebounds, not the defense, the missed shots. And when that becomes the main takeaway after games, it tells you the narrative hasn't shifted in her favor.
This is the game from tonight.
Angel Reese was shooting the three. Angel Reese steps away, the passing lane forces the turnover, calls her own number, can't finish.
I
bet that was highly. She fouled out of the for that shot. Angel Reese doing
pathetic.
Some action on the defensive glass.
Point.
Was excited for her opportunity to
Free
return
throw.
to Chicago. And now this league in
You think she's Kayla
up
Clark?
there as well. Clocks the rebound. We've got 2 new teams here in the league this year. Angel Reese on her head, going right at Cardoso. Angel with the rebound. Angel with the putback and draws the...
Now go back to those empty seats again, because they matter. That didn't happen overnight. It wasn't random. It built over time. A tough season, public conflict with the team, a departure that didn't exactly feel smooth or celebratory. Fans take all of that in. They remember it. And when they had to decide whether to show up for her return, thousands of them made a choice. They stayed home. So the real question isn't whether people were paying attention, it's what they saw and what they decided because of it.
Listening to the announcers, Angel drives, miss. Angel Reese, miss. Angel, nothing but rim. My God, she jumps and gets shorter. Buck falls on head 3 times. Angel Reese, 28% from the field, 7 rebounds, 2 assists.
And then there's the comparison that makes this even more uncomfortable. During that same 2025 season when Chicago struggled, the Indiana Fever were dealing with the opposite problem, too much demand. They had to move games into larger arenas just to fit the crowds. Other teams around the league started doing the same thing. By 2026, 39 out of Indiana's 44 games are being played in NBA-sized venues. So yes, the league is growing. But growth across the league doesn't automatically mean every player is driving that growth equally. Attendance numbers don't spin stories, they just show up as fact. And now we're here again. A new chapter, new team, new city. Atlanta is waiting to see what version of Angel Reese shows up when the games start to count. The suspension, the losing record, the empty arenas, those things are technically in the past. But they don't just disappear, they shape what comes next. Reese has never been quiet about who she is. She's built her image on confidence, on pushing back against criticism, on standing firm in her identity. And there's something compelling about that. But confidence only goes so far without results to back it up. Right now, the production on the court and the response in the stands aren't lining up with the image. The shooting has to improve, not because critics are saying it, but because the game demands it. You can't build a complete offensive game off missed shots and second chances forever. Eventually, those shots need to fall. Because those 3,000 empty seats in Chicago? They weren't random. They weren't bad luck. They were a message. Whether she chooses to hear it or not, that's on her. But one thing is certain. Empty seats don't lie.